Today, we grapple with a thought-provoking question. Is there a difference between male and female brains? So first, it's crucial to clarify what we mean by a difference. Allow me to illustrate with a specific example. Picture two apples sitting right in front of you. And now, what if you are asked, are these apples identical? Well, you could respond affirmatively, asserting, yes, they are identical. After all, they are both apples. And conversely, you might also reply, no, they're distinct. And your reasoning could be along with line of the apple to the right is slightly smaller than its left counterpart, or there's a minor blemish on the stem of the left apple absent on the right one, or even the color shows subtle disparities. So, delving into this further, let's suppose we've placed two seemingly identical apples before you. Even then, their respective location could subtly differ. Merely shifting their positions slightly can change how they interact with the ambient air and the manner in which sunlight illuminates them. So consequently, this leads to varying surface conditions for the apples. Hence, it's virtually impossible for two physical entities to inhabit the exact same place, resulting in inevitable differences. However, the descriptive information attached to these entities, in our case, the term apple, can indeed remain identical. And now, if we escalate this to a more abstract level, we could argue that a cup and an apple are alike because they both constitute matter. Well, they share the commonality of being matter. The forms and properties as objects significantly diverge. Therefore, when thinking whether male and female brains differ, the conclusion can fluctuate based on the benchmark and viewpoint we adopt. Continuing with our previous discussion on the differences or similarities between male and female brains, some might argue, well, they are the same because they are both brains. However, we consider varying shapes and size, and perfect identity becomes a challenge. What's more, what are the implications if, say, the male brain is larger on average than the female brains? At the heart of the matter, what we truly wish to uncover aren't anatomical differences, but rather functional disparities. Interestingly, while the male brain might be larger on average, it doesn't uniformly apply to all men. Some women may have larger brains than some men. So for now, let's sideline size-related discussions and focus more on the functionality aspects, which typically gains more emphasis. So for example, what about logical reasoning capabilities? How about language skills or memory? For these abilities, statistically significant differences are often explored. Although it's worth noting that the term statistically significant difference isn't universally understood, and I must confess my grasp on statistics isn't comprehensive either. In order to simplify things for us humans, we often resort to binary expressions like yes or no or 0 or 1. These expressions facilitate comprehension, especially when presenting externally, such as was there a difference or not. So consider this. When certain results emerge, even if a specific number is displayed, many of us might wonder, what does number really signify? Statistics share this ambiguity. For instance, a significant difference is denoted if the p-value is less than 0.05 and known if it exceeds this mark. However, if there are meaningful differences between like 0.049 and 0.050. By setting these thresholds, we're simplifying continuous value and creating a binary system. So when we say there are differences in language skills or memory and questions like why was the threshold set there, or why was the boundary drawn bound to arise, the matter of what's considered significant often varies across field, primarily because it's us human who artificially construct these boundaries where none inherently exist. Well, this may seem like a minor debate. They're not particularly intriguing in the grand scheme of things. Personally, I'm drawn to a specific exceptional discussions like the study of brains of remarkable individuals such as Einstein or Mozart. More general topic common to all brains like cognitive mechanism or sleep patterns also captivate my interest more than debating differences between male and female brains. So I confess topics like comparing the brains of California residents with those from New York holds minimal appeal to me. So similarly, I question the focus on the subject like comparing male and female brains. And sure, these topics have social allure, and it's easy for everyone to find them interesting. There is potential for differences to emerge in certain abilities, yet the question remains, why this particular focus? So, despite my observed differences, it's not as straightforward as stating these discrepancies are unequivocally gender-based. We cannot say with certainty if the results are purely biological or if other factors come into play. Let's consider a common stereotype in America that Asian students excel at math. Interestingly, research supports this when students are made conscious of their ethnicity through surveys and subsequently take math tests. The scores of Asian students improved, suggesting that the expectation of being Asian and therefore presumed to be proficient at math impacts performance. This could extend to men and women as well. For instance, there persists the societal perception that men possess superior logical abilities. While this is not necessarily accurate, such as societal expectations might lead someone to unconsciously shoulder the belief that as a man I should excel in logical thinking and then act accordingly. On the other hand, there are theories suggesting women have superior language skills and emotional intelligence. In these cases, someone might convince themselves as a woman, I should excel in these areas, and consequently become genuinely proficient. Nevertheless, it's tough to determine whether these are genuine gender-based differences or simply the consequences of societal expectations. There's a possibility that these expectations and prejudices exert a greater influence than uh, chromosomal differences. So, if we could eliminate societal expectations and prejudices, I'm confident the result would change. And drawing a definitive conclusion about gender-based differences is tricky. That's because we are based in a social context from birth, with expectations such as let's do this because she's a girl, and this because he's a boy. And as these expectations form, our brains change due to societal influences. Hence, stating that there are differences due to gender is not a simple conclusion to make. If these expectations shift, the result may change as well, and it's challenging to categorically assert that it's due to gender. And frankly, I believe comparing male and female brains in and of itself lacks substantial significance. Rather, our focus should be on the functions and characteristics of individual brains. For instance, I found studies about mechanism through which specific abilities are established, or about the brains of individuals considered as genius, far more engaging. In this respect, I personally don't find the debate about whether there are differences in male and female brains particularly interesting.